Your story matters, don't let it fade. When everything changed, you were made.
When I got to the doctor's waiting room with my son Logan, I picked him up, pulled him out of his wheelchair, and sat him on my lap. The two of us sat there, scared and lonely, wondering what we would do with another doctor's appointment. You see, the trials and frustrations of raising a disabled child were coming to an end of my marriage. I just left the marriage counselor's office, and as I sat there by myself with my son, I said, God, please help me. I had in a whimpering, crying voice, please help me. How am I going to take care of my son by myself? Let me take you back a bit, about 4.5 years to be exact. On a beautiful Sunday morning, August 24th, 1997, my son, Logan James Herr, came into the world. He didn't come into the world, though, in the standard ways that we're used to. He had an emergency C-section that was unplanned. They rushed Logan and his mom off like nothing. I was rushed into a small room, told to gown up. And all of a sudden, I didn't know what was going on. They literally yanked Logan out. No cries, no congratulations, here's your son. They put him in a plastic box where he would spend the next 32 days of his life. While he was in the ICU, more confusion, more fear, and more unknown continued to pile on daily. Each day I learned new terminology and techniques that I didn't even know existed. You see, during our birthing classes, they told you the normal stuff, which most of it I didn't understand or pay attention to anyway. And then they pointed down the hallway and said, there's the NIC unit. But you don't have to worry about that. Never thought of it. It just isn't something that's not talked about, especially back in the 90s when Logan was born. So as Logan progressed and slowly got better and stronger throughout the ICU, we had many trials and tribulations. It was nearly 3 weeks before I got to hold him for the first time. Grandparents and friends, I think, maybe saw him once in his first 32 days of his life. As we were preparing to get him home, we had to take classes and read up on how to take a stethoscope and shove a tube down his nose and make sure that tube would go into his stomach for nutrition versus his lungs and drowned. As you can imagine, that's kind of freaky for anybody, much less a first-time father who's already clueless to all this stuff. Heck, changing diapers was going to be new for me. So we went on, we managed, we struggled, and we figured things out like most first-time parents. But again, our new normal didn't look like what the world's normal was. And it was hard. Logan's early life was full of many trials, many tribulations, exhaustion, sleepless nights. He would get physically upset to the point of sweating like he just got out of a marathon, throwing up all over on an average car ride. Rarely could I calm him, and if I could, I'd be reaching around while I'm driving and rubbing his foot. Usually that would work, but not always. I'm a bad driver to begin with. I shouldn't be rubbing some young man's foot. So as Logan's life continued to progress, we navigated through, and as he got older, it was frustrating, but different. You see, he never learned to walk. He couldn't eat on his own. He needed a wheelchair. He never could sit up on his own either. But he continued to grow in his own way, kind of like we all do. We all have our different paths of progression and regression. So when it came time to get a wheelchair for Logan, it was very, very stressful for my wife and I. I was excited because it was going to be mobility for him. I wanted him to have cool wheels. I truly did make his wheelchair I put skis on the front and big snow tires in the back for the winter. Some of it was for fun, but some of it was also, how many times have you pushed a grocery cart through an icy, slushy parking lot? It's not fun. Imagine doing that with your son's wheelchair. And then you got to take that wheelchair and bring it in your house with the rain, the snow, the salt, the muck, all that stuff. On top of it, there were no services back in the late 90s to help you with those things. I built him a simple ramp. There was nobody to call. I had some skills. It was no big deal. I also did other modifications to our home. To me, it was just part of what you do for your family. While Logan was young, his limitations were very vivid, and to the world, he was a broken little boy. But he taught me and showed me, if you were willing to look and listen to the unseen and the unheard that he saw, you could experience and see the magic in life. You see, Logan would get so excited and so happy watching the leaves shimmer against the sun, or the reflection of the sun and the water sparkling like diamonds. It made him so happy. The simplest thing that none of us think twice about, myself included, because we're too busy. Those two things made him happier than anything you could imagine. He would laugh and laugh so loud. As I mentioned, he couldn't walk and he couldn't sit up on his own. So he would literally lay on the floor and kick his legs so fiercely like he was running. Again, the laughter was contagious. Logan also gave you mighty big, strong hugs. You see, his arms were spastic. It took nearly a year before his hands even opened up enough that he could somewhat use them. But when he gave you a hug, it was true, solid, and from the heart, and you would never forget it. I do miss those hugs, I'm not going to lie. So as Logan continued to grow and do his thing, we were, adjusting to our life, as I say. When my world changed completely, more than I could have ever known. You see, when Logan was in the ICU, I knew that there was a bigger purpose for his life. I just didn't know what it was. I couldn't put my finger on it. During all that chaos, I still had an inner peace I can't explain. But when my life and the lives of countless others changed was on a Friday evening actually, 1 week to the day, within 15 minutes of sitting on that doctor's office chair, my son Logan passed away unexpectedly due to complications of pneumonia on February 2nd, February of 2020, February 2nd, 22 of 02. So 02, 22, 02. Those, every time I hear twos, it makes me think of that. So as I go back, the uncertainty of my life, from a marriage nearly ending, a son died unexpectedly. I'm like, what is going on? How is my life turned into this? I had, things planned, and our life was our normal. And like that, it changed in an instant. By the way, we're all a phone call away from our lives changing in an instant. We just don't recognize it or want to remember that. Again, I had an inner peace, feeling, dream, whatever you want to call it, the night after Logan died that I still can't explain to this date, that I was here to help other families, and the purpose of Logan's life was to help other families like his. So the Logan James Herr Foundation started 3 months after Logan's passing. We officially became a 501c3, and we started small, and we're still kind of small, but what's turned into something for a dad trying to cope with the emptiness, the loneliness, and a purpose beyond his little boy's life has turned into something pretty quite remarkable and phenomenal. You see, for the first 20 years, there was no paid employees. We all had it was all volunteers, full-time jobs, and an army of people helping this thing chug along for 20 years. In our 20th year, we decided that it was time to make a change, to grow beyond myself and the network of people we have. So we hired an executive director. Then I came on staff, and our staff is continuing to grow. I should step back a second and actually tell you what Logan's Heart and Smiles is. So we do safety, accessibility, and sensory needs for children throughout the state of Wisconsin. We build wheelchair ramps. We build specialty beds, remodel bathrooms, install grab bars, therapy swings, just to name a few. I mean, we really try to do whatever we can to help a family, however we can. And we recognize that the life that these families live is extremely challenging and frustrating. We all have bad days, and that's life. We all hopefully have good days too. That's life. But I'm pretty sure your common bad day is a day these families could only hope, pray for, and dream about. I'm confident that most people, when they do their retirement planning, aren't planning for their severely disabled grandchild to be living in their living room in their medical bed. Just a hunch. And the world doesn't stop for these families just because you have a disabled child. We've helped multiple families where mom ends up with some type of medical illness, or dad does, or a sibling, or anything else. Life still happens to you because you have that. So when Logan was alive, we went through every resource possible to try and help him. We went to Mayo. We went to Florida. We exhausted many things at many expenses and many time consuming. Unfortunately, they weren't a lot of success. That's another reason why Logan's Heart and Smiles exists, because we recognize that these families need somebody to turn to, somebody who understands, and somebody who appreciates and respects what they're going through. When we go meet a family, not only do we help them with their physical structure, but we also help them maybe see beyond what their needs are today and to think for, if they got a 5 or 10-year-old kiddo now, what's going to look like when they're 17, 18, all those components. Plus, we have created a community called Beyond the Build. Beyond the Build was organic for us kind of since day one, but it's becoming a more formal, structured element of who we are and how we serve these families. For example, we have private movies for these kids, so an autistic kid can run around, the lights are up, and they can be themselves. We have a new physical space, same thing, where kids can come and be themselves and not be judged. We also have pontoon boat rides for them, and parades, and all kind of activities that we're just starting to create, because these kids and their parents need a place of acceptance and friendship. We really help them beyond the build. We call all the kids we help Logan's friends. You might be wondering why I'm wearing this beautiful vest and this bow tie. And the reason is to remind people that you can make a difference each and every single day. These are fingerprints of different kids that we've helped and different volunteers. Nigerian Nobel Peace Prize winner Voel Soyinka states, to become fully human, you must live for somebody else. I challenge, no, I dare you to make your life fuller, richer, and more complete for both yourself and others if you see beyond the obvious and look for ways to make differences in our lives, especially for the lives of kids like Logan. So, learn from a little boy who the world thought was broken, who couldn't walk and couldn't talk, but he changed the world. And if he could change the world, so can you. That's Logan's handprint on the back of my vest. And the fingerprints are what resonates from, again, a little boy who couldn't walk or talk. Thank you.
Your story matters, don't